Hi, welcome to the Lean Into Artcast, a show where a couple of visual storytellers engage with, well, visual storytelling topics, things we struggle with as visual storytellers. We talk about, actually performing the task, and then we back away and talk about how we think about performing the task. Because we think hard about visual storytelling, so you will too. My name is Jerzy Droz, cartoonist and teaching artist. The other host is...
Hi, I am Rob Stenzinger, a game designer and UX designer. Do a little bit of code too. Yeah, and I think of all this stuff. It's totally visual storytelling. I think of code even as communication. It doesn't always have that reputation as like, oh, it's it's logic and working with computers and stuff. But I think more and more people are becoming fluent and aware that it's a creative, expressive endeavor, like both in the output, but also that stuff on the inside. Yeah, what the code looks like. So, yeah. Anyway,
I would be willing to wager that there are intricacies of comic storytelling that would seem less appealing to people who are not as familiar with the medium, that I would find like poetic and beautiful when arranged properly, right? It's probably not a one-to-one comparison, but I bet there's similarities there.
I think so. I mean, this is, so what we do is we like to explore, find new connections and things, but a lot of times it's these just celebrating those extra layers that we tend to enjoy in the visual storytelling stuff we do.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of teaching a whole bunch of classes this week, and I was just having a discussion with my students about how we did our section on chunking comic storytelling process. So like doing thumbnailing and then doing the penciling, then the inking and so on. And I had the kids just today pencil a page, and I didn't tell them what they were going to do with it, but then they all had to pass it to their right, and then their neighbor was going to ink it. And they were like, oh, what? And they were like, some of them were really nervous about this. And then when the page was passed back, they're like, oh, because they saw that it was interpreted. It was interpreted somehow. I'm like, yeah, isn't that so cool how cartoonists can team up together, and it's not just a trace of your work. It's like there's this extra layer of interpretation that comes in there, and it's like your voice is harmonizing with your voice. It's kind of like you're singing with drawings. And I got a little too excited, but it's
there's no
stuff
such
like
thing. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
But yeah, I get excited about those little nitty gritty things that maybe we notice, but we don't always stop and wonder at it.
True, except here.
Except here, this is the place where we do it once a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do we talk about this week? I guess we're going to talk about like lofty, elevated, poetic, soaring, abstract ideas, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, well. I think we're continuing that theme in a way. I'm building off of your baloney train here. So in a way, we have the continuation of the hero's journey. Now, this is more of the hero's backpack, though, right?
The hero's bag of holding.
Yeah, I like your title for this was Everyday Carry. And
based on that was based on a Jet Pens thing. And I should pull up Jet Pens. If you haven't been to jetpens.com, yeah, I'm doing a search for it right now. Here we go. It's a collection of materials that you can purchase on there. It's like a curated collection of stuff for your bag, and it's sort of like, here is a small but useful and versatile collection of materials that most artists would want to carry around. So in the bag that you carry everywhere, it's called the Everyday Carry Collection. I spent a lot of time poring over this, evaluating like whether or not I need to upgrade mine. But and this isn't sponsored by Jet Pens, but hey, Jet Pens, if you catch wind of this, be happy to have you as a sponsor, because I use your service a lot.
Oh, and by the way, Jet Pens, we're only going to scratch the surface here. There's so much more conversation that you can jump on later. So
That's right. We'll do a follow-up, a deeper dive. But so yes, talking about the bag, like I spent years cultivating my everyday carry bag, like picking the right bag, picking out what stuff goes in it, so that when I leave the house, I am prepared to do whatever tasks that I need to do that day. And with minimal, like I've spent a lot of time thinking about like I don't want to have to address it every day. I don't want to be like, okay, what do I need to do today? I want something that's like I can walk out the door any day and I'll be pretty much prepared for whatever I have to do that day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think it's like a baseline that has your back, where for what you typically set out to do, you are well covered. And I can't wait to dig into this because I I know I'm well covered, but like I know I need to puzzle through this and try to. I want to do some kind of simplifying, but then I have some natural tensions in navigating that because there's a lot of stuff I'd like to be ready to do. So,
Yeah, and I anticipate that we're going to run into some dead ends on this because as a polymath, uh, it's almost like you've doomed yourself because if you want to be truly ready to do all the things that you do, it's like you're going to need like a true bag of holding in order to carry all that stuff around. But
see, no, I would love that, but I think it would be a trap because a bag of holding would just be like, hey, where'd Rob go?
right.
Hey, I'm right here. Hold on, and dig, 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 shuffle, shuffle, rumble, rumble.
How many bookmarks did you have in your Firefox at one point?
25,000. I'm actually getting back up there again with Pinboard.
That is so emblematic of just how your approach works, and it's very very endearing. But yes, we're to talk about what goes in our everyday carry bags, and then maybe in the second half talk about like how we arrived at that and how we think about it, how we think about like what goes in that bag and what doesn't. So if anybody here, if you're the kind of person who's interested in art tools and art supplies and reasons why, maybe getting some recommendations, stick around. This is the episode for you. So is it time to hit the music and go on the ground?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Oh, scary music, heavy music, low music, because we're going down on the ground, where we actually talk about like the actual physical aspect of the topic. Who wants to start first?
I would love to start with. I'm curious about like your bag, and I'm excited to get to like the kind of art supplies you carry, and yeah.
Okay. Go through the whole list.
Yeah, why not?
Should I start with container?
Mm-hmm.
So container, I actually have, and I've had this for a couple years now, the Timbuktu classic small messenger bag. So this is I got it pulled up on Amazon. What does it go for? Right now it's on sale for $65.
Okay.
And what I like about it is it's waterproof. It's sturdy material, and it's got a lot of really cool organizational pockets. Let's see what else. So I mean,
so messenger bag. I mean, so you're going with like one. There's one large strap, right? The big.
Yeah, the big crossbody strap.
Yeah.
Oh, and I gotta tell you, I mean, 'cause I have a couple different bags, and one of the things I really, really adore about this thing is this quick release latch on the strap.
Really?
Have you seen these?
Okay. Yeah, I see that. What's
So
up with that?
the way it works is like there's a little lever here that you just pull on this cord, and then it just easily slides up and down the strap, so you can tighten it or loosen it very very simply without having to negotiate. I don't know what we call it. Those. I got another one I can show it for a comparison.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So,
do
like,
you adjust that a lot?
All the time.
Okay.
Like when I'm riding my bike to class, it's like I can do a quick tug and then zip, it's stuck to my back and doesn't flop around. And then when I get off the bike, I can just zip and then it's dropped down, so it's not like on my back anymore and making me sweaty. So I really like that functionality.
Yeah. Okay. And then the difference with that the other strap you demoed.
So yeah, here's my other bag, and this is the kind of adjustment.
Gosh, that
and
buckle
you know what
thing.
I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like this. The strap goes through sort of an eye loop buckle thing, a couple ways, and then you have to go push, 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 pull, 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 push, 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 pull, pull, pull to get it to get it to where it needs to be. That's not
No, that's all
convenient.
I'm going to hear when I do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's not like oh, there's got to be a better way. I'm not like an infomercial about this, but it's
Aw.
but it after experiencing that Timbuktu buckle thing, oh my gosh, I love it.
Okay.
But all right, so what's next? I mean, obviously, it's like keys, um, wallet, and I mean, it's got this. If you haven't seen, it's got this Napoleon pocket right on the front. So even when the bag is closed, quick unzip, and then I can
Oh
get
my
to my
gosh.
wall.
That's funny, and it looks like you're Napoleon with your hand in your jacket.
Right. That's why they call it that. Right.
I had no idea.
That's funny.
Okay.
But so yeah, so I can easily get to my wallet even if the bag is closed and latched. And then I mean, you can look at the bag on the listing. We'll link in the show notes to see where all the pockets are on it, because it's got a lot of really cool organizational pockets. But then the next thing I do is inside of this I have it's called LIA Lab. Have you heard of this company?
No.
So this thing slides in the bag. It's sort of, they call it a bag in a bag. And what it is it's a laptop holder. So you can put a laptop in it, and that's where I put my drawing tablet. But then it's got extra organization on the front of it. So, and then nested in there, I have mini comics in case, for if I meet somebody and I want to give them my business card, I always give them a mini comic instead of a business card. So, because this actually tells you about me rather than just a phone number.
Yeah.
And then you were the one who turned me on to this, which is a Write in the Rain note card holder with a little space pen, so I can always capture notes anywhere I am. And I'm always capturing. I won't share that quick. Just do it quickly. Little capturing Boulder and Fleet thoughts when I'm on the road.
Oh.
A couple of extra pen holders, and then a big pocket to keep a little clipboard and my sketchbook for when I'm doing sketchbook summer. So the clipboard helps keep the sketchbook steady.
That is nice.
Clipboard was like, I think, $1.50 at like.
Yeah. You have a clipboard with a clip that has a shallow. It's like whatever the grabber on the clipboard, the clip.
Yeah. This thing.
It's not the big high honking one, right?
No.
With the big
Yeah.
looks like a ramp
No.
with an angle.
Yeah.
So that actually probably
No,
doesn't.
if I hold it up sideways to the screen, you can see it is very shallow, so it fits in the bag very nicely.
Gotcha. Nice.
So, and the reason I like this too is that I actually have a couple different bags that are different, like slightly different sizes for different needs. And if I put like most everything I need in this, I can easily slip it out of this bag and slip it into the other bag. Right? So there's a modularity there that I really like.
That's a difficult thing that I don't have solved, right? When I switch bags and I go to a slightly less heavy bag, I end up porting everything one by one.
That was one of those moments when I did get all infomercially going, there's got to be a better way. So when I was searching on JetPen's site and looking at all the different bags, I came across the LIA Lab stuff, and I was like, oh, this is lovely. And the neat thing is they come in different sizes, because I actually have a smaller bag. This is like my really like super lightweight everyday carry. It's much smaller. You can't fit a laptop in it, but you can fit a 10-inch tablet in it. And they make a slightly smaller bag that I put in this one.
That's cute.
Isn't it? Isn't that adorable?
It's like the little sibling of the other bag.
The little brother. Yeah, and you can fit. Get my microphone up. You can fit like a moleskin sketchbook in it.
Okay. Nice.
Or I don't think a tablet would fit in this. Maybe an 8-inch tablet.
Yeah, I mean, a class of tablet could, like digital, but but probably not 10-inch. You think?
No, I mean, well, 10-inch would fit in this bag. This is I forget what this is called.
In
It's
the
a
bag,
mineral.
but not in the bag in bag.
Right. This actually has a tablet pocket, so you could put. And when I was using my Galaxy Note 10.1 all the time, this is the bag I carried it in. So it fits.
So these bags, I mean, sounds like they're both pretty road tested, right? They're not new in your.
I've been using both of those for about
out.
4 years now. I want to say I think the Timbuktu for a couple years. But the Merrill, the smaller one, I've been using for at least 4 years. Um, yeah, that's right. Holy cow! Because I took that to Anaheim to go to ALA, and then within each bag, and I did this. I have, like I said, I have 3 bags that I rotate through a lot between those 2 and one other. Um, I actually do redundancy where each of those bags has the A key to my bike lock. So that way I don't have to switch that out because I made the mistake before of like, oh, I'll just throw this bag on my shoulder and then I go up on my bike someplace. I'm like, I can't lock my bike up. But they also, each one has its own pencil case with a certain set of tools within, and they're redundantly backed up, so I don't have to switch that out between each one. Right?
Okay. This is okay, this is really good stuff. What kind of
So here I can show. I mean, so here's the one from the Merrill bag. It's basically the same kind of pencil case, right? And here's another one. And if I
are they
open them
really
up,
identical in what's inside?
yep. So inside my Optimus Prime pencil case is a Pentel food day brush, I'm sorry, and then a couple of Pentel twist erase pencils, a Pentel click erase pencil, a Pentel stylo marker, a couple of HB pencils, and some refill leads. And if I go to the other one, same darn thing, right? Same brush pen, Pentel twist erase, the stylo, and a couple of HBs and lead refills. Yeah, so again, so I don't have to think about transporting anything. It's redundantly backed up. I don't know, that I feel like that's approaching anal anal retentiveness. But it's all about like offloading the thinking so that I can just grab any which one, and if I'm in a hurry I can just go out I don't have to go eeny meeny miny, and I don't have to go, okay, well I need that one, now I got to transplant everything, just like up and go.
We'll have to revisit that. Like how much of this thinking like when did I don't know, when do you need to take a look in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
And say, am I thinking too much about this? And I think that's totally like a fun open trap kind of silly question, but inherently we'll have to explore that in the next section.
Yeah, we'll do that in the next section.
Yeah.
Oh, and
so
then
wait.
yeah.
Oh, so, what were you? I won't forget. Go ahead.
Well, the last level is like there's like some practical things that are in there that are not art related, right? So like these are like hand sanitizer, tissues, ibuprofen, allergy medicine, and then even like a map of Michigan in case I get into a place where there's no connectivity and I'm lost, and like it's a little tiny thing that fits really easily in one of those pockets.
That is awesome. So, okay, there's one thing on your list that I'm curious about also.
Oh,
that
sure.
Is this multi-pen thing something that would go in the kit, or is it an extra carry? Okay,
this is a new acquisition. I'm really happy with it. So let me pull it up. I got it off of jetpens.com. And it was by way of Tori Wolcott when I was at doing the cartoon or comics caravan last month. I saw her using one of these. I was like, what is that? And so at JetPens, you can get these a make-your-own multi-pen, right? So you can get like the chamber for $4.25, and that will hold 5 different inks, and then you can pick your own ink colors to load it up. Now, I had spent a lot of time before this trying to find really good permanent color pens, right? So I had, what are these? They're the Pilot G2s. I had a whole bunch of these, but these are gel pens, and they're not waterproof, and I found out the hard way. And,
okay.
And the reason that I use them is because another thing that's always in my bag, and this thing does get transplanted, but that's fine because it's always on my person, is my ETP, right? My Emergent Task Planner. And let's see if I can find a page that doesn't reveal anything about my life too much. So I organize my ETP with color. So, and I'm going to cover up my tasks, but you can at least see that I block out the day through color-coded tasks, right? Green equals like freelance illustration stuff, purple equals Boulder and Fleet stuff, and so on. Which meant that I had to carry a bunch of these pens on me. So I was using the Pilot G2s, but then I discovered the Bic Velocity, which were pretty nice. And you buy a whole set of different colors.
Yeah, I like the shape of that pen.
They're really nice.
It looks like comfortable to it looks ergonomic, honestly.
They are, and they're a little bit on the chunky side in terms of line. They give you a 1.6 millimeter line, so it's a little thick. But if you're working on a big grid composition book like me, that's actually pretty okay. And then I got the I don't think I have many in here. I got the Inkjoy series from Papermate, and again they were pretty good. But the problem was that meant that I had to carry another pen case, like another pencil case full of pens in my bag. So when I discovered the multi-pen, I was able to get it from Jet Pens and put in the exact colors that I use in my ETP. So now this replaced an entire pen case, right? So now one pen slot, boom, that just goes in there. And this one does get transplanted right now. I'm contemplating getting backups to go in the other bags.
So, okay, sounds like there's a progression. So new tools, new things can show up and get adopted.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like this is like one of those subjects where it's almost like a hobby to think about, like constantly refining and upgrading my kit, my travel kit. So it's one of those things where at the end of the night, I might spend 10, 15 minutes looking at Jet Pens, going like, oh, what's new? What else do they got? And when Ann and I travel, like one of the things we always try to do is hit art stores. Like, oh, there's a Utrecht around the corner. Let's go check it out. There's a Dick Blick over there, or there's a Kinokuniya, which has awesome pens and bags and stuff. What about you?
Okay, what about me? So I'll start in a similar place with the backpack. My main backpack. Let's see. It's an Osprey Cruiser, and let's see. I'll grab it here. So it's like your regular, I don't know, backpack, and it's got like that cool bird, which helped me make a choice. But other than the bird, it had some interesting pocket arrangements where there's a as we're about to I'm about to share, I carry too many things. One could argue. I argue with myself about this, and I need a backpack that is going to be able to hold a lot, but still not hurt to carry, right? And so, like big, sort of strong foam straps for the shoulder straps, and then a nice kind of breathable, thick back is important, because when there isn't a breathable back and your big pile of stuff in a thing on your back is rubbing against your back for like the length of a commute or what have you, it's not comfortable, and it's sweaty and gross, right? So anyway, that kind of this backpack has all that kind of stuff, and essentially a big main chamber that's divided up a little bit, where I can have essentially a laptop and a tablet, and then a smaller chamber, and then possibly other things can go in that one. Then the smaller chamber with like lots of netish pockets that let me kind of do the whole bag in a bag thing that you're describing, but so it's semi-organized like that, but not quite as well, and it's not modular, right? I can't pop it out and put it in something else. And that's but it does a good job of holding a bajillion things. So I like to be let's see. So I carry some Sharpies outside of my pencil case, and Post-it notes, because, well, I guess we'll get into the because later. Good old, they're just Post-it notes, the regular size. I forget what
Yep.
size this is.
There's one of those in each of mine too.
Yep. And this is, yeah, that's the regular size. A couple different colors as well. So I don't carry typically a stack like this, but like I'll make sure I at least have like yellow and pink or blue and pink or green and yellow, something, right?
I imagine there's a very good reason for that. Because I just have like a
Yes.
pack of yellows, and it's like, this is good enough. One pack of yellows, ready to go. Why multiple?
How do you structure your information, Jerzy? This sounds like a big list of flatness, right? So how do you? Yeah, you need the groupers, right? So you have the ability to cluster, and that's a superpower. Anyway, so, so then I also carry this this little bag that my wife Kate made for me, and it's made out of material that I designed a few years ago, and it's got these little dinosaurs on it.
Oh.
And I have a few different ways where I load this bag out. Let's see, it's big enough where it probably holds like maybe too many pens, but then sort of getting the pens out of there. I find it really helpful for my process to have a blue pencil and a red pencil.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do a lot of kinds of art that lets me have multiple stages and something that I can use in the end, whether or not the line work is going to be important. I can capture it. I can essentially draft it quickly with the red pencil, and then and this is using it's a Pentel Twisty Erase GT
The new one.
0.5.
Yeah. Oh, here, let me lock on your screen so we can see that up close.
And I put a piece of tape around it that I color red because they're all the same. Same
funny.
looking color.
Okay, so here's how I solve that problem. Because I have the older twist erase. This is my non-photo blue one, right? And then where's my black one? There's my regular graphite one, right? So like, yeah, color coding is makes a big difference.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You want to not be confused what tool you're picking up, and so I did the non-photo blue is little blue colored piece of tape. I've been experimenting with Tombow brush pens. I have a couple of different tones, like
Those are
60
felt
to 70.
brush pens, right?
Felt brush, yeah, 60 to 75. And then a big, thick, old Faber-Castell brush pen.
Nice.
That's kind of a tank. Then some pens that I experiment with, but I really enjoy the graphic Derwent pens, and I've been playing around with their gray ones. So that's a felt pen. So then so essentially what I have is like something that's like a toning brush pen, something that is a toning felt pen, and the workhorse of my pens is a felt pen, but it's a black one. And so I typically will use a 0.8 for that. Or this where if it's like a Micron or a Derwent, that's what I'll use a 0.8 in, and then I just use the medium Sharpie pen.
Okay.
So that's like my thinner average line. But I've been really enjoying, and for Sketchbook Summer, I've played around a lot with a 0.3 Copic felt pen. Yeah. So that's where I was doing a lot of drawings with a little bit of either fine lines or scratchy lines and fine lines and whatnot, and that's what I was doing, and sort of revisiting a style I did a long time ago.
Here's the reason I like talking about this stuff with other artists is you help me find a hole in my setup, is that I don't have something that's big to fill in blacks when I'm outside sketching. So I usually have to take my brush pen. Whenever if I have any big black fill areas, I just take my brush pen and fill it in, and like a big chunky marker like that would go a long way.
It does, but then you have a tool that's doing double duty, right? So what do you prefer, right? Do you want to spend that resource more or save it, right? Anyway,
Yeah,
there's
we'll
the
get into
trade-off.
That's second half of the show, 10,000 feet up material.
Right on.
I want to go there.
So flying through the rest of the list, laptop, iPad, wallet, keys. I carry around a little, based on my goal planning process and how I want to think of the year. Actually Kate made these for me as well, the little metal stamp talisman, and this is my build kindness talisman that I carry around. And that's just that's a reminder thing that doesn't help me make drawings, other than it's a mindset framing thing. But then I also carry around some headphones, lots of dongles and power cables, connectors of different sorts, a mini power charger, because so many devices, it's easy to run out of power. And I would like to, delay that and have this resilience, redundancy when things come up, like, oh darn, my charge didn't work, the power went out, and my phone didn't charge, or whatever. It's like, well, I can just charge it on my way to somewhere. And I carry around ergonomic gel wrist rests, just to be gentle as I type a lot. Gotta keep those tendons happy. And let's see what else. Gum, protein bars, an energy drink, a small toiletry kit, fizzy water, and then sometimes I carry even more crap. So, yeah.
That is a lot.
Did we
talk about the laptop and the iPad?
Yeah. So the laptop and iPad, I do actually have software where the iPad can be a pen screen, like essentially a Wacom Cintiq for
Nice.
my laptop. So that's using an app called AstroPad, right? But then I can also use it as a dual monitor if I switch over to the app Duet. So then I can do two screens even if I'm being nomadic.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, see, here I was thinking like iPads. I'm not so sure about them anymore. But that's a really strong case. If they can do that, that's pretty cool.
I can rationalize carrying a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't go into my sometimes is that sometimes I bring my Vio Z canvas, which is basically my main workstation now, but it's also my mobile workstation. So it's like I take it to class. If I'm going to be, like, for instance, right now I'm doing this week where I'm teaching like 9 classes this week. So there's a lot of times where I'm downtown and there's no time to go home and get any work done. So I'll just go over to a coffee shop and get a little bit of work done. So that will go in there. And then that's when the bag gets a little heavy. Like the bag gets to be like, 11 pounds, 9 pounds, somewhere in the neighborhood. And that's just enough to get to be a drag when you're walking around a lot. Like my goal is to get it I want to get it down to 5 pounds. I want to get like maxed out. This is 5 pounds. And then the other sometimes is a bag full of crayons. And usually on bowling night when I go and do the art drops. If anybody's been following on my Instagram, yeah, this is just always on my desk, and I can just tuck it in my bag as I'm going out the door. I used to carry it all the time, but I don't find myself doing those little sketchy art drop things that often anymore. So it's been demoted to just sitting on my desk and being ready should I decide I'm going to be doing some crayon drawing someplace.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But
and it stands alone. There's no redundant pack of crayons. Okay.
I've been puzzling that one out because actually something I do when it's back to school season and crayons go on sale for 50 cents a box, I wind up getting at least a couple. So I have a drawer in my office that's just completely full of new boxes of crayons. So I've got plenty of room for redundancy, but it's a matter of finding the right cases. And I need to, see, this is where I do need to look in the mirror and say, is everything okay? I want to sit down and come up with what's the optimum crayon color set. Do you really need 24, or can you get it down to 7 to do all the coloring that you want to do?
I, this is a good question, I think.
Is that our final thought?
Uh, maybe not final thought, but okay.
Oh,
So what do we do here as far as transitioning into this? I mean, there's a lot of questions as
okay.
far as like, you know,
Yeah, we went through.
resiliency, forgetting things. Is this a brittle thing?
Right, right. And what's the thought process that led us to be where we are with our setups right now? And what
Yeah.
maybe where do we want to go next with it? How does our thinking process go as this evolves? Thinking about this optimum art bag thing. And I was reminded of this literally just a few days ago. Ann and I went to the University of Michigan Museum of Natural History to draw birds, as I do from time to time. And as we were getting up to leave, there's these big glass cases with the birds in it. And there's like this little ledge, and I put my pencil case on that ledge and just open it up so that I can just reach in and grab things as I'm working. Pick up my chair and I put it away, and I'm slinging my bag over my shoulder. And as we're walking away, Ann looks back. She's like, "Your pencil case." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I went and grabbed it. And I was like, "Yeah, it's like that'd be a real bum out because there's like something like $20 to $30 for the pens and pencils in here." And she's like, "Well, there's also like years of thinking in that bag." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Like having to I mean, I have the redundancy, so it'd be easy to replicate it again. But like, she pointed me to the fact that I've invested a lot of time and energy into what this thing is now, right? So yeah, how do we get there? How do we get to that thinking? And maybe is it even worth it? So, uh,
I love that. That's an excellent question to explore next.
'cause it might not be. It might not be. It might be just like this is the fixations that one finds oneself facing when you're following a creative endeavor. Uh, and we will explore that in detail in about a minute and 30 seconds. But first, we have to thank some people. And the people that we have to thank are the people who support us on Patreon. What is Patreon? If you haven't heard of it, well, think of it this way. It's an easy way for you to give us a vote of confidence. It's you saying, I believe in you and I believe in the work that you're doing. And so here's $1 a month to help make it more sustainable, more possible, so that you can make more stuff. And we want to thank 5 people who have been saying that by supporting us on Patreon. First up, Rachel Ross. You can find Rachel on Twitter at NYC Terrace, like New York City, then Terrace as in like Terra. India, thank you, India. Old Swifty on Twitter, fabulous animator and artist, and we really appreciate you supporting us. And Becky Hilburn at Natto Soup, another cartoonist who does a lot of YouTube videos and does a lot of community building on Twitter. So you want to check her stuff out at Natto Soup on Twitter. Thank you, Becca. And then Catherine Sugru. You can find Catherine at Cat Sugru, KATSOOGROO. Thank you, Catherine. And finally, Ashley Knapp, our old friend Ashley Knapp, Control-Alt-Lee on Twitter. Thank you, all of you, for supporting us on Patreon. And if you want to check it out, you can find it at patreon.com/leanintoart. We post all of the episodes there, as well as the Extra Leans, which is a show that we make only for patrons. And you can comment and follow up with us there in a safe place that only fellow patrons post in. Did I miss anything, Rob?
No. I mean, this is all about expressing thanks to we pick a random 5 group to highlight, and we do that every week, and would love it if you're not in that group yet. Just join us there at patreon.com/leanintoart, and you'll get a feel too. Like even the public facing version of the feed, you'll be like, yeah, what's this extra lean thing? Whatever. You'll see like there's these. Well, only for patron posts, but there's a title. There's a little teaser. You can get a hint at like what's up. So it's worth checking out, even for that hint.
Oh, Extra Lean 110, cup of tea. Wonder what that's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, patreon.com/leanintoart. Okay, time to do 10,000 feet up, back away, and look at this thing more abstractly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
3, 2, 1, contact.
Okay, so.
Say, have you seen a show called The Odd Squad? It's a newish PBS series, right? Newish.
Okay.
But I think it's a few years old. Have you?
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Because of that little beat that hit that you just played, right? it reminds me a lot of essentially what if the Bloodhound Gang were a highly funded spy agency, like counter spy agency that dealt with all sorts of silly, supernatural, high science, sci-fi situations and mysteries, right?
Interesting.
And they learned a lot along the way. The Odd Squad. It's really it's well made.
It sounds like I would enjoy that a lot.
I think you would.
Awesome.
Yep.
So
you encounter these things as raising a kid or whatever, and yeah. So
well, no, well, I mean, I don't have kids.
Like
but
the new stuff, right? Like it's harder to find that stuff out. Like if
well, unless you go seeking it out, like Ann and I watch PBS Kids on purpose. You know, it's like
oh yeah, PBS Kids. But yeah, this one may not stand out in the grid.
That's true.
But nice.
Krat Brothers, Wild Kratts, and Arthur. Still some of my favorite shows.
Nice. Yeah. Wild Kratts is a really good one.
It's a really good one. And not necessarily a friend of the show, but mutual friend Katie Shanahan works on that show. I was pretty stoked when she did a class visit with my students and pulled up storyboards from Wild Kratts episode. And I think I was more excited than the kids.
That's super cool. So, okay, super small world. And all right, so then yeah, the PBS Kids is a wealth of awesome resources, great entertainment, all ages. But yeah, and a few shows to call out there. But here we are with our backpacks, which technically could have devices to help us consume PBS Kids, right? So
well, potentially.
Yeah.
Shadowingtronics, Troy in the chat says he's at an advantage. It's having a more minimal style. He doesn't need nearly as much, yet he still has things not mentioned here, so he gets to feel special. I mean that is worth underlining here. Is that I think the purpose of discussing this, at least for me, is compare and contrast so that I can not necessarily see who's got the optimal setup, because it's going to vary by artist. I mean, Rob's got use cases here that I think we're going to go into that I don't have, and vice versa. Whereas part of that comparison also leads to maybe looking at ways that I've been approaching it that might help me optimize with my own tools. This is by no means a prescription. This is, very specific use cases. And then the interesting question that I think we need to answer right now is why this use case? How did we arrive at that, right? And Rob, you made a note to me when we were first kicking around this idea that I thought was really interesting. You said, what I carry with me most is my mental model of myself and the world around me. This is 10,000 feet up, so I think this is the place to really kind of talk about that a little bit. We can get a little Mr. Miyagi here, right?
Well, it's I don't know who Miyagi'd who. I don't know. That's always a question around here, because I think posing a question like, "What do you carry with you?" I instantly dig around in my brain, just because that's what I have with me all the time. Thankfully, I'm not wearing my backpack all the time. It's too heavy. So I know that, going through, life experiences and changes and what have you, as we all do, and, seeking resources and learning and adapting and investing time in philosophy, psychology, world perspective, and all that stuff. It's like, that's the biggest asset I have. And you know what I mean? Like it's me, that's, I've been in situations where I've forgotten my stuff, but I'm there. And so either, what stuff can I obtain or adapt or adopt right then and there? And that's how do I see the situation now? What is my intent? No matter how I'm feeling, what can I do to help play with and against that? Because I might be super nervous or stressed out, but yet it's time to be on, time to do a thing, time to serve And what do I do? Like all those tricks and techniques and things, that's what I carry with me. So that's, and hence that's also why I did mention, like, yeah, I carry talisman with me to help remind me of, you know, the stuff that feels really important and worthwhile, that recontextualizes something I'm going through, where I can ask, is this meaningful? And that's what's important. And so I can coexist with other stresses and stuff. So is that, I mean,
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
worth sort of parachuting over top of everything, because I think about how I know that part of my bag strategy is protecting myself from the unknown, right? It's protecting myself from unforeseen situations, right? I'm prepared. But there's also a mindset where when I'm traveling and I'm doing, school visits or, workshops at different places, I've learned over years of doing this to show up ready to work with whatever tools are handy, right? Oh, you don't have a projector? No problem. We'll do it with the dry erase board. Oh, you don't have a dry erase board? No problem. We're gonna have everybody gather around. I'm just gonna use a piece of paper, right? Being ready to work with what I got, and not in any kind of like desperate way, like in a way where it's like, oh, no problem. We can make this happen, right?
That's a really good point, because you can work with what you got in a kind of comedic manner. That's like, good for you for trying, but that's I really feel for you, but that's not going to do anything. But that's not the case. I mean, you can often find a different way to get to that desired outcome, right? Like depending on why you're out in the world doing, like, why did you put this kit together? Chances are there's another way to get there.
Now that I think about it, I think when I first started exploring this kit idea, it was when we started Lean Into Art, Rob. It was that long ago.
Really?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
what kicked it off?
I remember it was when we were doing 30 classes in 30 days, which was the kickoff for Lean Into Art. I talked about this. One morning, I was taking my wife to work, and it was the kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, I got a lot of work to do, but I'll leave it all at home, because it's just like it's a really quick drive there and back. On the way back, my car broke down. The ball joint went out on the tire, and the tire completely went under the front of the truck. I was fine. I wasn't going very fast, but there was no way I was moving that car. I was stuck. And so I called a wrecker and everything, and there was some kind of multi-car collision on the freeway nearby. So like all the wreckers were tied up with that. And so I was stuck standing next to my car for 3 hours with nothing to work. Like there was nothing in the car to draw with. I had a phone, but it was an iPhone. It's like, I can't create anything on this. I can make a podcast. Okay, great. But I can't draw anything. And so like I just felt this horrible desperation of the clock is ticking and I got so much to do. I could at least be taking notes right now, but I couldn't. And so like there was this almost post-traumatic thing where it's like, never again. That's never going to happen again. I'm always going to be prepared in case something like that happens again, So that's what kicked that off.
Yeah, I remember that. You made a Thunder Punch daily, right?
Did I?
About all that. Yeah, you did.
Oh, that's so long ago. That was 6 years ago now. Holy cow.
Yeah. Wow. I think so. That was a big incident, but there was probably times where you've been somewhere without a thing that you're like, gosh, I really wanted to, use this particular pen or something, right?
Yeah. I
Or
mean, that's really what began my whole quest to find a good drawing computer. Because I find that when I'm in social gatherings, it really relaxes me to have something to sketch on, something to work on, because I can carry on a conversation while I'm doodling.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me something to do if there's like weird lulls or whatever, or if the conversation gets uncomfortable, I can turn my attention to it. Now I don't have to deal with this other stuff. But But anyway, I find that it's very comforting to me. I was using this language recently. Is like I feel like sometimes it's my first language is drawing, and then talking is my second language, right? So having having access to that is like very, very comforting. And yes, it's one of those things where you can work with any kind of pencil if you want to. But you know what? There is a kind of pleasure that comes out of using certain tools. It's not just what the tool can do for you, it's also the using of the tool itself. Sometimes that causes a kind of pleasurable feedback loop, right? So yes, there were instances where I was in different places where it's like, wow, if I had a little sketchbook with me right now, I could be, just doodling. I could be drawing people in the room. I could be, I don't know. So yes, but where are you going with this, Rob?
It's funny. There's that having a major, like a situation where you're like, okay, I feel stranded from being useful or what have, and this is not good for how I like to be.
Yeah.
I don't think it feels like an incredibly positive thing to acknowledge your own quirks and interests, desires, what have you. And it's some kind of, it's your own negotiation with yourself, your world, the resources you have available, right? Because there's so many paths that you can take. You can try to have some kind of what's almost like the baloney straw man thing of like, well, now you just want everything to be perfect, and I can't do anything unless it's just so. And there's something between like a healthy arm's length from perfection is a nice zone to be in, because you really are giving a crap a lot, and there's side effects that are very beneficial to that. Whereas, I mean, I can definitely be in and find myself in modes where I know I could have done better, and I was just sort of overly making do. Where if I would have said, you know what, I know that I not just know that this could be better, or I could do better with some different arrangement, but like that arrangement is achievable if I make it a concern. That's where I'm thinking about this, right? Where it's like what you're describing is being prepared, and like, why would that be a bad thing? And it's an achievable thing, and it's nowhere near perfection, right?
Right.
Yeah. But then, speaking of that, maybe I might be in danger of this territory myself, because I like to be prepared to do a bunch of different things.
Okay, and that was interesting to me. It was when you started talking about this off mic, this idea of you're able to describe what are like the core functions of Rob Stenzinger when he's out and about.
Rob Stenzinger OS.
Well, I think of an analogy with Transformers. Like, one of the things that I found fascinating about Transformers as a child was that every character had a primary function. Right? This is their main function in the world. And like, wow, as a kid whose life is like nothing but possibility, right? To have that vector, like, oh, you can just like have, this is your function in the world. This is where you belong in the world. That's a very interesting and compelling idea to a young person. And I was reminded of that when you were like, here's like the 5 things that I do, and I got a feeling that that's got to be really useful in decision-making processes like this. Like, what gear do I need to go out in the world? Well, what are the 5 main things that I do?
I do think that could be constructive, and I don't think that'd be rare for where people could list 5 things pretty easily that they would go about doing commonly, and maybe even as like what you do as a service for, like however you engage in trade, right? I mean, is it, I guess we've been talking around it, but the 5 that I listed for me, I'm curious what overlaps with you, by the way. Like I want to be ready to do something useful, be of service related to drawing. I want to be able to write. I want to be able to code. I want to be able to design, and I want to be able to facilitate. And I find if I'm ready for those 5 things, they don't all come up every day, but there is commonly a surprise one that one of them will come up that I didn't expect, and I'd like to in being ready has been very beneficial.
Sure.
Yep.
So, for instance, can we go into those Post-it notes, the different colors?
Yeah, sure.
I find this super fascinating. Like, why would you have multiple colors? I mean, yes, here we were talking about multi-pens earlier. So, yeah, obviously, I'm probably going to be in agreement with you on this. But I think I know why, but I want to hear it from you why you would have to have multiple colors.
Okay, so it helps with chunking, it helps with categorizing, it helps with communicating in a structured way. So like you have a hierarchy to the information that you're gathering, and that can help both during and after you do this sort of exercise. And so let's say it's an exercise where you're generating ideas in a couple of different categories. Okay, so maybe you're thinking about so like I have a workshop called paper prototyping power up for making video games, and let's say you're thinking about the character of the game, the scene, the scenario or environment, and then the obstacles, right? So those are categories. Those would be a different color than the ideas within those categories. So then I think that helps you as you're executing and thinking and generating, right? But then afterwards, you take a picture of that. And now there's inherently an otherness or separation of like the details versus the summary grouping concept. And you can do a lot of different beneficial exercises through that kind of grouping. And so sometimes I carry 3 colors, right? So, because you might want to group the groups. Even more power, but what can you do? That's anyway.
Yeah. No, this is precisely why I use different color pens with my ATP, because I love being able to squint test at my day, and be able to like have an at a glance sort of like it. By color grouping it, you're also giving you like a very instantaneous like backup view of the whole thing, rather than getting lost in the details of the thing. Right? It forces you to consider them as larger groups than as like just a sea of information, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so right, so you could just use the colors as the population of the thing, or you could use them as like monikers or labels, right? Either way, and the population can be the other color. So depends on what you have. So like if you do an exercise like hopes and fears of like, hey, we're about to embark on an endeavor. Let's have everyone here take a minute. Which, by the way, you know, like this is the whole facilitation thing I like to be ready for, because in group collaboration and creative endeavor, it's really easy for personality and habit and stuff to take over, and it's nice to create a safe space to, you know, get ideas out in a more egalitarian way to see, like, because a group benefits from its diversity, and if you're squashing that right away, then you're hurting the intelligence of the group and all that. So anyway, hopes and fears is, you know, that's a nice one to mention, where you could just have hopes be yellow and fears be blue, right?
Yeah. That's great. So yeah, I'm curious. Where did that come from?
Like the color thing?
Yeah. I mean, because like, there's a bigger question to back up and ask here. Is that like, we must have gone through some kind of, like, when you asked me about like the experience that led me to be so focused on this, like there must have been some kind of like experiences that we encountered where we figured out there's got to be a better way, and we tried something different.
Okay, so it came from occasionally being in situations or meetings where there was only one color of Post-it, ideas got captured, and then the result, you know, I photographed, someone who was there photographed it and shares it with the group, and then you look back on it and you're like, how do I unpack this? What's what here? I can't tell, right? Because there's different reasons. Like, so then having different colors, you can benefit from the clarity of the difference. So that's pretty much why.
So there is like a sort of encountering frictions. Like that's the signal to watch.
It becomes like a mishmash of like less discernible information, right? It's possible, like, you have all one color Post-it, and you just write really bold on the headlines or whatever, but maybe you forget on some of them or whatever. It helps you. It helps making the beneficial thing easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
I would say that my core functions overlap greatly with yours. I mean,
okay.
Less code and design. Design is something that happens more at home. I rarely do it when I'm out and about. When I'm teaching, that I'm not really called to do that all that much. If the designing that I do has more to do with a 2-calf, maybe like right now I'm working on the design for a Boulder and Fleet print edition. But yeah, it's not as large a part of my life anymore. So draw, write, facilitate. Those are the 3 things that I'm always ready to do. Yeah.
That's a lot of overlap. So what sort of, how would you have labeled them before? Is it sort of does that all kind of get grouped in to like, well, I'm teaching a workshop, or I am, working with a client on like what the plot should be of a comic or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, within those 3 groupings, there's a ton of overlap, right? So, like, my computer will go in my bag because I'm going to be doing some professional drawing on it later on when I'm at a coffee shop in between classes. But then it's also going to get used for me to demo some ideas for my students, or it might get used to demo some ideas for a client at a client meeting, right? So, it serves all those functions. The only very specific to one group tool that I keep in my bag is I have a trapper that I use this is where I carry all my teaching stuff, like class list, like any kind of specific lesson plan stuff that I might want to be doing that day. So, and this is the one thing that just gets moved from bag to bag. There's like one canonical teaching folder, but that's the only tool that serves that single function. So that's part of my decision-making process, and what goes into the bag is it something that can be, can it multitask, right? Because the tools in my pencil case, like just today I did an inking demo. Like I had the kids pencil a page and ink a page, and so I walked through and I penciled the panel for them, and then I walked through my concerns there, and then I said, okay, now we're going to ink, and so I'm going to ink the same panel. You're going to watch me, and I'm going to talk through what the concerns are. So there we go. This is my sketching tool, my writing tool, my professional comic tool, and my teaching tool.
Mm-hmm.
There, I'm in a privileged place because I have all of my jobs overlap a lot.
So, but let's see. How did you got here was what I'm hearing, it's a combination of the commitments and how there's a lot of commonality among them, but then also like having that kind of a life event pop up and say, well, this could suck a lot less.
Yeah.
What else went into that?
A letting go of the fetishization of working spaces, which I feel like that's also in the zeitgeist. I feel like mobile working and shared working spaces and working out of coffee shops has been a thing for some time now. But early on when I started out, it was like my art desk was the place where that happened. I have to work there because that's where I get into the headspace, and letting go of that and realizing that I can be more flexible in the way I live my life if I allow myself to work in a variety of locations and situations. feeling that friction of, I'm sitting in a parking lot, waiting for another appointment or waiting for my wife to get out of work, and like, I could be doing something with this time. Because and let me back up and make sure that I clarify that statement. I say that as somebody who genuinely loves working a lot. Like, I do it because I love it, not because I feel panicked that the Grim Reaper's coming. I got to get it all done, otherwise there'll be no legacy. It's more like, this is a pleasurable experience. I get a lot of pleasure out of doing that kind of work. So, if I'm just sitting here, I could be doing that right now, right? So that's the friction that I encountered.
So, quick side thing on top of that is, do you carry things that are just for fun? Or
That's a good question.
yeah,
Let me check.
I mean, I'm just wondering if.
Well, I mean, I did make that statement that I genuinely love doing the work.
True, I know it's a fraught question, right? Because
Right.
you just said this is fun, and I agree. Like everything, I love to draw, write, code, design, and facilitate. Love all of those activities. Yet, I do have other things with me too that don't lead to some productive endeavor necessarily exactly where it's like, oh, I would get paid to do that or something.
Right.
Squishy to define.
Yeah. And I was looking at your list. Like, you carry a game controller.
Yeah. There's some of the things I didn't mention. The 8-bit DOE game controller, which is a lovely piece of technology that it's Bluetooth. I'll grab it. It's Bluetooth, and it syncs up with like multiple systems, so you can use it with paired with up to 4 different things. Not at the same time, right? But like it works with the Nintendo Switch, with Mac and Windows, and yeah, it's delightful. It looks a lot like this looks like a classic Super NES controller hybrid with also a modern game controller because it has 2 analog sticks on it too.
That is really cute. How much is that?
It's like $40-ish.
Wow.
I don't know, somewhere in there. Yeah, it's not trivial. But then I also one of my projects lately is I'm working on a sticker for the back because it's hard to remember the button combinations to know how to pair it with the different things.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah, I carry that. I carry sometimes a Nintendo Switch. So yeah, I mean, so that kind of thing where it's like, I find that enriching. I learn a ton. I'm going to analyze the things that make me go, what's this about? And I like this. Oh my gosh, I feel so much. What's going on here? And whatever, right? Okay, yeah. Can't stop, won't stop, right? But at the same time, one could argue that that's more the for fun.
One could make that argument, but I think there's a lot of overlap there, like you pointed out.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I don't carry anything like that in my bag, and now you got me thinking because like I got an iPhone. I could be playing games on that. I've got a game we're going to talk about in a few minutes that you made that I could be playing when I'm in between things on my computer that I carry with me most of the time or a lot of the time. I have. Do you remember that Metroid 2 remake that some fan made?
Yeah, and that got buried or whatever.
It got
right?
buried, and I got it before that happened. And so like, and I played it, and it's like, oh, this makes me feel things. But it's been sitting on my machine ever since, and I haven't played it in a long time. And it's like, if I had a little controller like that, I could just like break out a quick 20 minutes on that when I'm in between things too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to wonder if like introducing some. I've been thinking about that a lot. I mean, this is like a lifestyle, like sort of segue, but I've been thinking about how I need to introduce not just self-care, because I've been working on that, but something about introducing a non-work pursuit. Like work meaning like Boulder and Fleet, yeah, I don't make a living off of that. So like that gets like the bulk of the lion's share of my free time. But I think like learning an instrument or learning another language or playing games more, something like that. I need to introduce that into my schedule. I think that would round out some of that health thing that we all seek.
Well, I mean, maybe that'd be something we could we could look at as we close. I got a couple different possibilities there, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, because you made me think of a couple categories. There's like putter around, and then there's play,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Just you can experience playfulness in the midst of the other work endeavors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, where's the play and where's the puttering, right? The puttering is this curiosity based poking around and stuff, where it's
Right.
like that's
Right,
where
okay.
I'll go to the Raspberry Pi. What I don't know, like Anyway,
Yeah, let's segue to that. That'll be our closing thought in a minute. And before we get there, it's like I wanted to close this last little note on like of severity, right? Because like one of the things that I've been like hunting for and like really hunting is this like truly optimized bag where I can, like I said, I can get it under 5 pounds, fully loaded. I've got everything I need in my bag to do anything, and it's under 5 pounds. That's like the dream because like I love the Vio Z canvas a lot, but this thing is with its keyboard. I think it gets the bag to be like between 9 and 11 pounds with everything else that's in there. So I've been looking at things like trying to find an 8-inch Windows 10 tablet that I can draw on, right? Like Toshiba made one a while back. It's a couple years old now. It was like the Encore Write 2, and it was like, oh, I could use Clip Studio Paint on it. It's 8 inches. I could start a file here, use OneDrive to sync it, and then when I get home, I could finish it on my bigger computer. Oh, that's the dream. But what?
oh yeah, this is the territory, right? Of like the knowing that it can be better, how much better makes sense.
Right. But then also, are you leaving room for the puttering and the play? And how do you navigate those waters? That's where we'll finish up this one. I think it's a great place to close, Rob. All right. So, do you want to thank some other people who make stuff or who make the show possible?
Yeah, I do both. Yes.
Yes. People who make stuff who also make the show possible. Those people happen to be us. And some stuff that I make as a cartoonist and teaching artist is I make a comic called Boulder and Fleet at boulderandfleet.com. And it's the story about two best friends who go on adventures. And it's a bear and a bird. And, when you get into adventures, you're going to get into some kind of physical altercation. Problem, Bear's a pacifist, so how do you navigate that? How do you have an exciting, rip-roaring action adventure with a character who doesn't like to fight? Well, you can find out at boulderandfleet.com, and there is a Patreon for it at patreon.com/Jerzy, where I've been sharing a lot of some in-progress work. I just completed a digital painting of the printed edition for Mining for Trouble, and I've only been sharing it with the folks on Patreon. Rob, you make a game.
Yeah, I make a game that is, it's kind of like how you set up what you described. It's a calm puzzle solving block stacking thing, right? Where you've got there's a little panda who encounters some blocks that are stacked up, and a cloud comes along and knocks him over, and you have to help this panda put it back together. And that's why the game is called This Panda Needs You. And there's like over 50 levels, and it's really builds up and challenge very gradually. I've seen people of all ages play it and get lots of enjoyment. And it's just like $3 on the iTunes App Store for your iPhone and iPad. Working on porting it to more platforms, but by all means, it's just a few bucks. So picking it up gives encouragement to do that porting. It's a great signal to get. So you can learn more about it at this-panda.com, or just search the iTunes App Store for This Panda Needs You.
And another great signal, if you do get the game, is giving it a star review in the App Store. That helps more people find it. And then, supposing that you are not so interested in the stuff that we make, but more interested in the way we think, fair enough. This show is a thing that we make, and it demonstrates how we think. And there's more stuff like that at leanintoart.com/workshops. I know that there are lots of people who still haven't downloaded them because every week we get new downloads of these videos. That's demonstrating to me that there's people who haven't checked it out yet. What is it? It's self-contained video series that teach specific skills. So it's like actually taking a class with us. And there's comics fundamentals. I teach, basically take my classroom strategies I've been using for the past decade into a video format. And Rob did the same with making video games from comics, turning jokes into comics, storytelling to make your comics UI awesome. And it's all at leanintoart.com/workshops. And if you have downloaded these things, interacted with the stuff we make. A great thing you can do right now, if you're watching the video on YouTube, is giving it a thumbs up. That helps more people find the show. It raises our rankings in search. Or if you're listening to it on a podcatcher, giving it a 5-star review, in the iTunes store, that helps more people find the show as well. More people find the show, more people can support it, and the show becomes more and more sustainable. And we thank everybody who has been interacting with all the stuff that we make and do, and giving us the thumbs ups. It means a lot to us.
It really does. So yeah, thank you to those of you who have done that already, and for those about to.
Getting some people's everyday carry in the chat. Adam lives in his head says, I carry very minimal. A brush pen, 3 pencils, Q-tip, vinyl eraser, sketchbook, and a fountain pen. And I asked, because I've been actually thinking about fountain pens, because I miss drawing with a crow quill. I'm like, I kind of would like to get a really good fountain pen to make that a mobile experience. And Adam says the TWSBI VAC Mini with 1.1 stub nib. But if you're just starting with the fountain pens, check out the Jinhao X450. You can get it for less than $5. Wow, that's great. Thank you for that tip, Adam.
Yeah. And gosh, what a fantastic drawing, visual storytelling is amazing. If that's your main focus, and your analog and the sort of size and format of being somewhat essentially roughly 8.5 by 11, or approximately that or smaller, it's a mighty portable existence, right? That's super cool.
Yeah.
But yep. But okay. It's admirable, right? And also the whole thinking of you could disappear into the endeavor of fine-tuning that and probably not need a bag of holding once you've learned what you've wanted to figure out, right? In the end. So I don't know, I admire that. But yeah, what were we thinking?
The final thought was going to be, where does puttering and play go?
The puttering, there we go.
So as not to become so deadly economical about the work that we do and the time that we spend in optimizing and fine-tuning and tweaking. There's got to be spaces in there for, I love that term puttering, because puttering is like non-directed exploration learning, right?
Yeah, it's like I might find a direction when I know I'm puttering, but I might not, but I probably will learn something.
So do you have something in your setup that you use for that?
Let's see. I've been puttering around with the Raspberry Pi off and on, right? That's a common thing I come back to. It's fascinating that you can have a general purpose computer in such a small package, and it's so flexible. You could make a kiosk that shows some stuff on a TV, or you can make it talk to your stuff on your home network and alert you. I don't know, if you have you can add sensors, you can add blinky lights, all sorts of things that I think you can go, for me, going from the software world into the hardware world. It's this wonderful transition playground. So that's it represents a lot of those kinds of things. And that and in the end, you could have a thing that you might the whole idea of installations and stuff fascinates me, and it's such a small, inexpensive computer that you're not taking a high risk of leaving it somewhere or building something around it, which is super doable because it's so small, right? And making it a part of a thing, or what? It's just, anyway, it's just it's fascinating to me, and so it's such a perfect playground, basically.
Yeah, I can see that.
But what would you be puttering with?
You
Would
know, I mean, it's like I gave myself that little nudge when I said like learning an instrument. Like I wonder like if I just had like a little keyboard to carry around with me because like I have instruments. I have an accordion that's been sitting in my office for years, and I can kind of goof around with it. But you know, it's like
Mhm.
I've been wanting to learn how to play that ever since I was a kid. And it's one of those things where it's like I don't want this to be one of those things where it's like I always said I would and I never did. You know, I need to wedge that in someplace, whether it's carve out an hour a day, half hour a day to focus on it, or is there something I can do to like sort of keep that muscle memory going and keep that exploratory play thing going when I'm out and about? Um, I'm sure that I can find a small one that I'd be able to goof around
Oh,
with.
guaranteed.
Yeah. Um,
That's
yeah.
so. How interesting. So yeah, there's a lot you can do. you Yeah. So once you have like an input device, you can do a lot of stuff with it, right? So you could easily map your Photoshop actions to keys on the keyboard,
That's true.
stuff like that. You could play like Axel Foley and be like how you export stuff for, yeah.
Yes, make my work more magical by assigning action commands to a keyboard. So I have to play this song correctly in order to export my book as a PDF.
That might be high pressure, but or super amazing.
Oh, that'd be a fun one to show my students. And, oh, how do you export it? Well, simple.
Well, like this.
The Reno singing in the rain? Of course you do.
Play, I don't know. You probably wouldn't play a fifth of Beethoven, but
Oh no, probably not.
no.
But
But
but yeah, like something like that where it's like I could because the play thing I get right. That is something that I do need to do more. And I guarantee you, what is it? The Metroid 2 comes out for the 3DS in September. Is that right? Um, you can bet the farm that I'm going to make time to play that game. We have a 3DS, so you know it'll be a no-brainer. Get the game, play it. Um, but the puttering thing, I feel like that's a hole that needs to be addressed. And I'll be thinking about that, like something to do with playful learning. What skills do I want to level up on? What skills do I want to acquire? And how can I do that in like a non-directed, no pressure kind of way? Because that is one of my favorite ways to learn something. It's just to goof around with it. That's how I learned Photoshop back in like 1995. Um,
that's yeah. I mean, put whatever in a low risk situation and being curious about it. That's probably the recipe. You don't need much else to be puttering and then maybe benefit because you're following your curiosity. The let's see. I honestly I've also been doing that a bit with Unity. So that's a whole probably a bigger topic, but Unity 3D. I've done a few different sessions where I really didn't know what I was going to do. I just started putting some art in there and then making it do stuff. That's it. And I noticed my enjoyment of the tool has increased a lot.
mm.
So
Yeah, I guess I have historically had things like that in my bag, which was back when I got the Galaxy Note 10.1. It was the quest to find the Android software that could compete with Photoshop, right? And so that
you
became
dug a lot into that. That was
I dug deep into
very
yeah, and
yeah.
landing on Layer Paint HD, which I still love. I still love that piece of software, and I wish I could have that Galaxy Note phone again, so I could continue to. 'Cause I loved sketching on my phone so much, but I killed two of them because I mishandle phones. Even my iPhone, when they're supposed to be, they just work and they're indestructible. That's acting goofy. It's something that I start wrecking them. I don't know what I do wrong, but yeah, like finding software and just playing with it and seeing what it can do instead of reading a manual, but like having that sort of like that curiosity feedback loop is a super fun way for me to learn. So I haven't had that in a while, and I think I need to get back to that. But I think I want to do it with something that's non-comics related, just to broaden my horizons a little bit.
That's interesting too. So why would that be?
After a very intense last 10 months, intense in a good way, very meaningful stress, but after undergoing that kind of intensity, I realized that I can't go on like that forever, and that I need positive feedback from other realms of my life in order to feel more grounded and less detached from everything that's happening around me, which is a whole nother discussion.
I think we brushed on like a variety of neighboring topic lands, which it sounds like this is this whole like, what do you carry in what makes it into every day, what makes it into sometimes, maybe it's something we could revisit, because I mean it really does sound like a hobby to me. You said that earlier. It's like you could opt into this, and it's I don't know, I feel like I've noticed people like you, people I follow on Twitter, what have you, putting a lot of thought into this, and just making me curious to try harder as far as thinking about what I carry and why. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've arrived at this current version of what I carry.
Awesome. Well, I had fun talking about it. And I hope that the folks who downloaded, listened, and watched did too. We would love to have your feedback on it, whether you're commenting on the YouTube video or commenting on the Patreon post, or just talking to us on Twitter or Instagram, wherever you find us. We'll be shouting out links in a second here, but I think we walked around this one, Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Now we just got to figure out what to do for our 200th episode.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure. I suspect we'll land on something.
I think we'll be fine. We thankfully we have definitely practiced a few times, so
yeah,
it'll be worth tuning in for, though.
Yeah, 200 next week. So this show is archived every week at patreon.com/leanintoart and leanintoart.com. Once again, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and giving the show a review on iTunes is greatly appreciated. Thanks everybody for downloading, watching, and listening. And until next time, I have been Jerzy Drozd of leanintoart.com and Jerzy on Twitter.
And I've been Rob Stenzinger of leanintoart.com and Rob Stenzinger on Twitter.
Okay, bye.
Show notes for this episode can be found at leanintoart.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the user leanintoart, and you can reach us via email at leanintoart@gmail.com. And remember, leaners aren't wieners. Thanks for listening.
Okay, I'm going to shut off the stream. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.